All right, here we go. Today, we are so lucky to have Gayla Hiatt, I already messed up, the CEO of Gayla Hiatt Home Group as our guest. Gayla has been a successful realtor for almost 20 years. She started her real estate journey in 2004 after a successful career in mortgage lending, at which point she joined her husband Troy to pursue a career in real estate. With Gayla's leadership, she has built her team into a prestigious group that serves the Kansas City metro area. And today, Gayla has been kind enough to share her time with us and how she uses Agent Kickstart to grow her group and how you can use it to recruit teams and groups. Woohoo! Gayla!
Well, thank you.
I should have like a
Thank you for
sound
having
machine,
me.
something that we can hear a little bit easier. All right. So first I thought we'd start off, I'll just kind of do a little interactive interview. And then I actually have a list of questions that some TLs and OPs sent in to me ahead of time. But then we'll just run through it.
Sounds good.
All right. You know how I like to save everybody time. So
Just roll with it.
let's roll. All right. So how did you first get introduced to Agent Kickstart?
So through my market center, our team leader offered it to the top 20%. Our market center adopted the program, and yeah, we were super. I mean, we were so excited to learn about it and hear about it.
Very good. Sorry, I got to move some things around. And then how did you personally implement the program?
So initially, I think our team leader had you come to the market center to explain it to us. So the first step was getting an understanding of how it worked and what it would, how I could utilize it to recruit and retain agents. And then the next step was I wanted to experience it for myself and know what I was sharing and what I was holding people accountable to. So both my operations manager and I, actually everyone on our team, went through it. Anyone who would possibly be a mentor or hold someone accountable role went through it so that we knew what was being done at what time and what the expectation should be.
Perfect. And for people, I think everyone that's getting this training knows what it is, but if you don't know, the videos are really pretty short. It's the action steps that are long. And so the students go in the action steps. So how do you know? It probably didn't take you. I actually looked up how long the lessons were. I think they're less than in totality, less than like 6 hours.
Right. I actually did. I actually personally did a lot of the lessons. Like I would get on every morning and I would go, do my walk, and I'd be listening to the lessons. And then I didn't necessarily do all the practical work, but I did download the app. Throughout the process, there is an app that you can download to help them build their database. And I did download that app. But for the most part, for me, I did it when I was working out.
Gotcha. Yeah, because if you
Killing two
know,
birds with one stone.
you don't have
Right.
to do all the action items and homework if you know what you're doing. And then can you share what your results have been?
So the thing that struck me the most was number one, our team was spending a lot of hours in training, and um and that took a lot of people on my team to make that happen. The thing that impressed me the most was that the agents that the agents that I sent through the program all came in with big databases. I think on the low end 317, and on the high end, Tina, what did I just recently tell you? 459
Yeah, it was a really good one.
people in his database. And prior to that, we would have people, it seemed like they were struggling to get 100 people, and we were having to say, okay, let's go through this memory jogger about, and let's do this and that. And I mean, they just, the struggle with lead generation is they didn't know who to call. When they come in with the database, they know who exactly to call. So by the time they get to me, they know who to call. They've had scripts. If they're a brand new agent throughout the program, it gives them what to say. So really what our expectation is we want to see someone who can actually follow direction and has the motivation to implement it. If they don't have the motivation to implement it, we don't even onboard them.
Perfect. So if they make it past that first screening process and you do onboard them, then what's your process look after that?
Then that's a great question. Then we follow the 30, 60, 90. And, we have office hours that the team actually set themselves. And that's another thing that, having gone through the program, they understand the importance of lead generation. And so we went to them and they set their own office hours. So they like agreed on a time. They set 3-hour office hours, and they come in and everyone is lead generating together at the same time. And then, they go about their appointments. But when the market shifted, they took that initiative on themselves.
Oh, that's awesome.
Did I actually answer that question?
Yeah, you did. You did.
But yeah, we do take them through the 30, 60, 90, and then they have an account, they're accountable to, hitting certain metrics.
And I didn't ask you. This is another deeper question. So off a little bit. So how are you finding? Like for us, we're finding that we're just able to get them in production more quickly because they understand the foundational training. How much of a jump start does Agent Kickstart give them when you start their 30, 60, 90? What's your opinion?
I mean, I do think it's. I mean, another senior agent and I said, "Oh man, if we had this when we first started, we would have been light years ahead. We would have been so much further in our business. It just gives them a more well-rounded scope of what to expect in the real estate business. And the reality that, business is probably not going to fall in your lap. You're going to have to build it. You have to go find it.
I make sure I don't pull any punches about that one.
Right.
You're going to have to work for it.
We are also very, throughout the program, in the initial steps, it talks about now your team leader or whoever is not going to come to you and ask you to sit down with them to, meet with a lender or to ask this question. So we know if they're following the program because they're actually, at a certain point in the program, they're reaching out to me and saying, can I schedule an appointment with you? I need to discuss this. And it's because at that point in the program, that's what they're told to do. So if they don't ever reach out to us, I'm not reaching out to them and we're not onboarding them.
Perfect.
So
So if they don't pass that screening process, they just don't move into the 30, 60, 90 then.
Right.
Gotcha.
We don't even onboard them.
And then how much time do you think that Agent Kickstart saves you in your onboarding process? Well, I guess time and money.
Right. It saves us a ton of time in the onboarding process. It saves us a ton of money on the back end process, because what we were finding is we were taking on agents. We were beginning to pay portions of their office bills. We were, and then they weren't, then 6 months later, because we weren't doing a great job following the 30, 60, 90, then we would get them, months later and they weren't in production. And here we had been paying the bills. And so it saved us money from having a bad hire. It saved us just countless hours of operations staff time.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Thank you for several reasons. Thank you for using it as it was intended to be used. It's intended to be used to save time. And I know I shared this with you, Gayla. That's the reason I originally started developing the program, is because when I had the large team, I just got so frustrated. I was spending all my time onboarding and training agents who never got into action, never did anything, never got their databases together. And I don't even know how many hours and how much money and time I wasted. So,
and I think the amount of burnout and stress that puts on a rainmaker is really hard to measure. And I think sometimes we don't even realize the amount of stress that it puts on us until you're just almost to burnout.
That's a great point. Well, because rainmakers, we always see the potential in everyone.
Oh,
We are
everybody has
we
potential.
are notorious for that. Like we see the potential in everyone. Oh, they could be great. And just sometimes they're just not.
Right. Well, I mean, I've said this to so many people, I can show you the water, I can take you to the well, I can even hold your head under the water, but I can't make you drink it. And I have wanted it so, I've seen the need and I've wanted it more than they have so many times.
I love I can hold your head underwater. I'm stealing that. Totally stealing that. Okay, I have a couple questions that were submitted ahead of time. So what did you do prepare to educate yourself to make sure that Agent Kickstart had the content that you wanted for your team? And I know you listened to it. I think you've already answered that.
Yeah, I had everyone on my team go through anyone that would have anybody reporting to them or would hold anyone accountable. I had everyone go through the program so that we knew what to expect and we knew what was coming next. So we were always a little bit ahead of them. And that way we knew, we knew if they were in action or not. The other thing is we realized after the first go around that we needed to set a time limit. We had people get real caught up in database, and it's like, okay, wait a minute, you're never going to not be building your database. This isn't a destination, it's a journey. So we tweak that a little bit. Now we give them 2 weeks to get through the program. It's our initial, we show them that we've invested in them, and then we give them 2 weeks to get through the program. If they get through the program, they come in, and then, we're continuing to help them build and grow as we go.
And just so you know, I heard your feedback on that and I changed the program a little bit. So we actually tell them several times in database that this is your job for the rest of your career and don't get hung up here. You need to move on to get through the program. So thank you for your feedback on that. So, because we did just recently re-record it and we're re-recording in Spanish also, and that is going to be out in October. So exciting. Are there any other ways that Agent Kickstart saves you time?
I can refer them back if they're struggling in a certain area. I can refer them back. Go back into Agent Kickstart and listen to this. Go back to this module, so that because so many times we tell them things over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But it is helpful to tell them, okay, go back there. And most of them have printed the materials out.
Well, and I'm sure, and I think it saves time too, because I learned that lesson the hard way. If they're standing in your doorway, it's easier to answer the question in the short term.
Right.
And then it bites you in the tail in the long term because they don't
When
know
you're
where to go find the answers. Yeah. Had a question. What are the differences in the preparedness of the agents coming onto your team pre-program and post implementing the program? So and I know you mentioned database.
That's the biggest key for us, is that they have the database, so they know who to call, and then we put the office hours in place. So now they know who to call, they know when to call. We're there to help them through the struggles and the objections. And then, layer that with things like bold. I mean, it all fits perfectly together. It's not in place of bold. It's not in place of, some of the programs. It works great with the productivity program. But yeah, coming in with the database and then knowing who to reach out to, that's been the #1 game changer.
Perfect. I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing all your great information. Tammy, did you have any questions? No? Okay, well, perfect. Well, I just wanted to share this because I really think this is an opportunity that maybe leadership is missing a little bit, because I know for a fact when I had my $45 million team, if someone would have called me a recruiting call and said, I have a solution to your onboarding and training problem, I would have taken that meeting every single time. And I don't take meetings. with people. And I'm sure a lot of us, because you get so many calls. So, but I would have taken that meeting, because that is the biggest pain point for most team leaders, rainmakers, CEOs of teams, is that.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
So, recruiting, obviously a new agent, this is the perfect program for me to tell them about. It's like, you've done the work for them, is literally what I say. She's done the work for you. If you're recruiting a capper who thinks they don't need that kind of help, how do you have that conversation then?
I think the conversation is, how confident are you in your listing consultation and your buyer consultation? Are you confident in your listing questions and your buyer questions? Kind of, I would say, dig into their business a little bit more, because what I've found is that capper, they rate this program super high because they can go through it quickly and they can fill in their gaps in the foundation that they're missing. I mean, I'm adding things. I've been in the 20 years. We just at that home preview checklist. I don't know if that thing is amazing. And that is that pre-market checklist. I don't know how I sold real estate for 18 years without it. I've only been using that in the last 2 years, and it's in the program. So I think the thing is, if you want a $45 million business laid out for you, this is how you do it. So I think that's the conversation with the cappers, not it's a what are you missing in your business, and here's a way for you to fill in your gaps by simply hitting the download button and then editing it.
Yeah, I like the fill in the gaps part. Definitely. I wrote a big note on my piece of paper to say that.
Fill the gap, mind the gap. Was another thing.
Another thing I think is, like, in this market where so few people have been in a market that wasn't shooting fish in a barrel, that for those agents that are struggling, that are potentially going to make much less money than they've made over the last 3 years, this is a way to really get them in production, to ensure if they'll do everything that's in this program, they are not going to be like 98% of people who are going to lose money. They'll thrive in the market, but they've got to dig in. They've got to do something different.
I agree, because the foundational part in a changing market is so important. Yeah. My team, for example, we're ahead of our goals this year. We're ahead of what we were last year. And I can attribute it specifically to, we do what's in the program every single day.
Yeah.
So, and we appreciate you, Tina, when we give you feedback about, hey, maybe that's not how we do it in Topeka versus Kansas City. You have totally stopped what you're doing and tried to tweak it to like work for us too. So I totally appreciate when agents come to me like, oh, doesn't really work with our market, but then you change so many things. They're like, oh, that's awesome. So I appreciate you so much for listening and hearing us.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll always be changing it, because things always change. This re-recording, we definitely focused on the foundational, a balance to buyers and a seller's market, and what everything looks like in each of those, because I know that so many markets out there are experiencing all three of those markets simultaneously. So we just wanted
you hear us and you're willing to be like, oh, I see what you're saying now. And then you'll make all the changes. And it's probably for everybody. And I'm so thankful that you listened to Nick and Carol when they were on a call, because we absolutely love it.
Well, no, I appreciate it too. And you guys showed up, and so I heard you. So, and you just wait, there's cooler stuff coming.
I know. We were just talking about our team meeting.
Just so you know, there's much cooler stuff coming, but we're going to roll it out to the existing offices, the subscribed offices first.
Awesome.
So that's always just been one of those things. You know how they do those phone specials, and they're like, for new users, here's your deal. I'm always like, well, I've been here for 15 years. So our subscribed offices are going to get some cool stuff coming out.
Awesome.
So we're super excited. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Gayla, so much for your time today. It was very important for me to get this out. So, because I know that there's going to be, between now and the end of the year, I think the amount of movement between companies and offices is going to make heads spin.
Yeah.
Because agents are searching for something right now. Yeah. Agents are overwhelmed. They're discouraged. They are themselves back in the business now. We are back in the business doing the hard stuff every single day, and are not going to have the time to do that mentoring, training, hand holding that we were able to do before. Kind of. I said, I give people a lot of credit that they were able to do that. But I really think that this is going to be one of those things where if team leaders and owners and managers of offices really dig in, you can recruit some big agents if you use this program. I 100% believe that.
I really think you can.
Yeah.
Because agents are like rainmakers are feeling the pressure points right now of a shifting market. A lot of rainmakers are having, or a lot of team leaders being, team owners are having to go back into production to keep their numbers up. And so this can really help them, stay on top, build their team, and not fall into burnout.
Absolutely. And retention is going to be such a big thing. So if you're leadership in an office right now, and you can go to your rainmakers, COs, team leaders, whatever you call them, of your teams, and say, hey, look, let's help you recruit to your team. Because let's be honest, no matter what, growth solves problems. So unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, and I look at it both ways, it is true. And recruiting and growth solves problems. And that's not just for companies, that's also for teams. So for an office to be able to provide this and say, hey, look, let us be your solution. Even if you had them do the first module, the database module, you could say, here's a list of 10 agents we have coming on board, and here's their database. Well, here's who they have in their database. This one's got 100. This one has 400. This one has 500. Who would you like to, who would you like to interview? That would be huge. Yeah. That would be a huge value. So, okay. Well, thank you. Thank you guys both for your time. I sincerely appreciate it. And we will send out, I know that so many of you requested this recording, so we're going to send it out to you. And then we'll also send out Gayla's information. So if you have any referrals for her, to her area. What areas do you service, Gayla?
We're on the Missouri and Kansas side. We service Clay and Platte County in Missouri. We also service Jackson, and then we service Johnson County, Kansas.
Perfect. There you go. So Gayla can take care of you. Well, I appreciate your time and appreciate you using the program to its best capacity. And I hope that everyone can learn something from you. I'm sure we did. All right. Thanks, ladies. Have a good day. Bye.